Welcome to episode 133 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak life, encouragement, and truth into the minds and hearts of educators and get you energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm going to share a quick trick to lessen the pressure and anxiety that you might be feeling during the first weeks of school. Visit truthforteachers.com to ask a question or to share your thoughts in the comments. This episode is brought to you by Really Good Stuff. If you want to know the top 10 challenges that teachers face in the classroom, check out their national poll with the results from more than 700 participants. It's at reallygoodstuff.com/solutions. You'll also find teacher tips, resources, and innovative products that are designed to save you time. If you order materials from their site, use promo code RGSTruth10 and you'll get 10% off your order. That's good from now to the end of 2018. So just go to reallygoodstuff.com and you can check out what they have on offer. So we are back now with the podcast after the summer hiatus, and we're kicking off season 7. And I'm guessing that you are either right in the middle of back to school craziness or you're about to begin it. Most teachers I know have back to school nightmares and some trouble sleeping at the beginning of the year. It's just a very high pressure time. And I think it's partly because of the sheer volume of things that need to be done to set yourself up for success and get all those systems in place. And that creates the long hours at work. But the stress, I think, comes from feeling like you have to prove yourself and worrying that you're not doing enough. Just 2 short months ago, you stood in front of a class of kids who knew you. They knew what to expect. You had a rapport. If you were having a bad day or you were a little bit off that day or you made a mistake, it was okay. The parents knew what to expect from you. You understood the dynamics in your school. Things were settled. But now it's a brand new year and you've got to figure out your way and maybe feel like you have to prove yourself all over again. There might be this pressure to convince this new group of parents that you know what you're doing, and maybe you're worrying about whether they're going to respect you and your decision-making capabilities and the policies that you set forth. There's probably been some changes in personnel at your school. You may feel like you have to prove your expertise or you defend your teaching philosophy to a new administrator or to colleagues. And of course, you've got to get things established with a new group or groups of kids. You might be wondering, will they listen to me? Will they take me seriously? How are they going to respond when I need to correct them or push their thinking? There's so many things at the start of the school year that are unknown and unfamiliar and just completely out of your control. So it's natural to try to handle that by controlling as many things as possible, by focusing on strict rules about what the kids can and can't do, planning every procedure and activity down to the minute, and not allowing for any kind of diversion, by being overly harsh because you want to make sure the kids know that you mean business. Or maybe it goes in the opposite way for you. Maybe you sort of find yourself bending over backwards to try to make yourself likable and relatable to kids, and you worry about how you're going to win them over. I'm going to tell you about a little trick to help you change your perspective and get into a better headspace. Shift your focus from getting kids to know, like, and respect you to getting to know, like, and respect your kids. And I'll tell you how that works and how I learned to actually not just think this and know that it's true, but to put it into practice. You've probably heard that people's number one fear, even greater than their fear of death, is a fear of public speaking. The idea of standing up in front of a group of your peers is incredibly intimidating. That need to prove yourself and win people over for me was always greatly amplified when I moved from speaking to 8-year-olds in my classroom to speaking in front of teachers as an instructional coach. And I found that a lot of times I wouldn't be able to sleep the night before giving a keynote or doing a workshop because I couldn't stop thinking about how I would be perceived. I'd worry, what if they think I'm boring? What if everything I say is stuff they already know? What if I'm saying stuff they're not interested in? What if they would rather be basically anywhere else besides listening to me? And at one point in desperation, I remember thinking to myself, all right, I guess I just not going to be able to control what they think of me and if they like me. Some of them are just not going to like me, no matter what. But a lot of them will really like me. If I can find just one person who looks like they're really engaged and really excited to be listening to me, I think I can get through it. So in that moment, I was no longer hoping to be the world's best instructor who blows everyone away with her amazing insights and her incomparable delivery style. I was just going to go in there, do my best, and look for the person in the room that I was really helping. I shifted my focus from whether others would like and respect me to getting to know, like, and respect others. And to my amazement, I felt instantly less stressed because I realized in that moment it wasn't about me at all. It was about them, my students, my audience, my listeners. It was about serving them. And the more that I started thinking about their needs and focusing on being in tune with them, the less I worried about whether my outfit projected the right message, whether I looked professional enough, or whether they would laugh at my jokes. And from that day forward, every time I speak in front of a group, I practice staying focused on how I can meet needs and make connections. And I say practice staying focused because this is not something that comes naturally to me. My nature is to be introverted and self-conscious and to compare myself to others. But I practice shifting my perspective here. Before I enter the room, I tell myself, one person in this room is going to have their entire life changed as a result of our connection. Some aspect of their life is never going to be the same as a result of some insight that I give them or some new belief or skill that I taught them. I'm going to find that person and build that connection with them and let the energy that comes from that interaction give me the motivation to keep reaching for the others and try to help them have that same powerful, transformative experience too. And you can use this exact same process in your classroom because you know what? One person in your room is going to have their whole world changed because of you. One person is going to look up to you and admire you and reflect back on your work with gratitude forever. Find that person in your classroom who has that potential, the one who smiles back at you, the one who laughs at your jokes, the one who looks engaged when you're talking. When you get flustered, look back to that person. That's going to give you the courage to keep working with the others who are less enthusiastic or harder to win over. Now, the really awesome part about this is that there's always, almost always, I should say, more than one person whose life is going to be forever changed for the better by you. And if you teach elementary school, especially, I think that's probably going to be true for the majority of your students. They will adore you and love learning with you and love spending time with you. But it's not about being liked or being popular. It's not about being their friend. That's a lovely side result, but not the end goal. The goal is about meeting other people's needs. As the leader of the classroom, you are there to focus on what kids need and empower them. Always stay focused on that rather than trying to make sure they like you or even respect you. Instead of wondering, why don't the kids like my class? Why is it taking so long to build relationships? Why don't they respect me? Ask yourself, how can I increase the quality of a student's life today? This will shift your focus away from how you are perceived and onto how you can take action to make a positive impact. It'll keep you from worrying about what results you think you should be getting and the type of opinions that students have of you, and instead will keep you focused on how you can meet students' needs. That's the heart of being an effective teacher, right? It's not about the gimmicks. It's not about putting on an amazing show for kids. It's not about entertaining them or making your class their favorite. It's not about you at all. I remember author Glennon Doyle sharing an experience on her social media. It was a long time ago, but it really stuck with me and I think about it a lot. She took her kids to the pet store to look at kittens and let them play with the cats and try to figure out which one they wanted to take home. And one of the kittens ran straight over to her daughter. And the kitten started rubbing on her and purring and playing with her. That kitten didn't leave her side for the whole time that they were there at the animal shelter. And her daughter was really clear, Mom, I like this one. I want to take this one home. And Glennon was like, how do you know? Like, are you sure? What makes you like that kitten so much? And she said her daughter just looked at her and thought for a second. And she said, I don't know. I guess I like her because she liked me first. And I thought, yes. That's exactly how our bonds with other people start, don't they? When someone takes a real interest in me and affirms me and asks me questions to get to know me better, seems genuinely curious about who I am and what I'm like, and really seems to enjoy being around me, I instantly find myself liking that person. There's just something in our human nature that draws us back to others who make us feel validated. And certainly, you can go to great lengths this school year to impress your kids. You can do elaborate room transformations and spend hours creating lessons that will lure them in. But I think the main reason that those techniques work, when they do work, is because of the rapport and the relationship that the teacher already established with the kids. That rapport and relationship is the core of all of those things. And when I think back to that story about what happened in the pet shop, that little kitten that attached herself to Glennon's daughter, the kitten didn't do anything special. She didn't perform any tricks. She didn't try to stand out from the other kittens. She just showed a genuine affection and care for the person directly in front of her. And that focused attention is what allowed them to bond. So that's just a really simple illustration, I think, of how powerful our attention to others can be. I encourage you, when you start feeling pressure to impress your kids or their parents or your colleagues or your administration or other teachers online, shift from trying to get them to like and respect you and focus on getting to know and like and respect them. And that means that actual human beings. I see concepts like culturally responsive teaching sometimes just reduced to generalizations about kids and stereotypes about their demographics. Do you know what real cultural responsive teaching is? It's about knowing the actual kids in your classroom, focusing on them and their interests and amplifying what they bring to the table, dropping that deficit mindset where you're focusing on all the things that your students seem to be lacking in terms of what school culture values, and looking at what they bring to the table instead. Seeing your students as real people with interests and needs and problems that are worth getting to know. So each time during the school year that you start to feel like you're not doing enough or you're just not enough, anytime you worry that you won't be respected as a teacher, remember that taking a genuine interest in others is the most powerful way to bond. When you find yourself falling into that trap of wondering, why don't the kids love my class? Why isn't this working? Ask yourself, how can I increase the quality of a student's life today? Focus on helping kids and being in tune with their needs, rather than trying to figure out what they think about you and making them like you. And when you make this practice a habit, you'll find yourself not only less stressed about your relationships with students, but you'll actually be building better relationships that are centered on what the kids need from you. Have a fantastic week. You can do this. And remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it. Want more than just a weekly podcast episode from me? I'd love to also send you a weekly message of encouragement via email. I'll reach out each Sunday evening with a short message that's designed to help you feel more prepared and inspired and motivated for the week ahead. It's not a newsletter or a bunch of announcements. This goes out to over 85,000 educators. So I put just as much thought into crafting this weekly written message to my email list as I do into crafting my podcast episodes. And it's entirely unique content that you won't find anywhere else online. Just go to thecornerstoneforteachers.com/subscribe and you can sign up. That's thecornerstoneforteachers.com/subscribe.